Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well.
I truly hope life is kind to you today.
Today's topic is something that shapes nearly every choice we make.
Money.
But not just coins, bills, or bank accounts. We're going deep into the unexpected origins of money and how it transformed human history in ways most people never hear about. When you think of money, you might picture metal coins or colorful banknotes. Yet the earliest forms of money weren't metal at all, and not even physical objects in some cases. Tens of thousands of years ago, before agriculture or cities, early humans still needed a way to remember debts, trades, and obligations. In some communities,
Money was not a thing.
it was a shared memory. People kept track through trust-based accounting, a mental or spoken record.
Of who owed what.
Archaeologists studying ancient sites in the Near East found clay tokens dating back over 9,000 years. These small carved objects weren't currency to spend. They were symbols to store information about grain harvests, livestock counts, or trade promises. Think of them as the prehistoric spreadsheets of human society. By 3500 BCE in Mesopotamia,
These clay tokens evolved into bullion.
sealed clay envelopes with markings outside and tokens sealed inside. This was done so no one could secretly change the numbers. In a way, it's an ancient version of digital encryption.
But in clay.
Meanwhile, in Yap Island of Micronesia, centuries later, people used ray stones, massive limestone discs up to 4 meters wide. They were so large, you didn't move them when traded. Ownership was transferred publicly, and the stone stayed where it was. Before we move to our today, I want to say that this channel is user-friendly.
No offensive content. No misinformation.
We explain things with respect, curiosity, and authenticity. In some parts of ancient Africa, cowrie shells became a widely accepted medium of exchange, not only for their beauty, but because they were durable, portable, and hard to counterfeit. These early forms of money tell us something crucial. Money didn't begin as gold or paper. It began as a system of trust, made physical through symbols and shared belief. As societies grew, trade networks expanded beyond villages and small communities. Trust alone was no longer enough. People needed a medium of exchange that could work with strangers. Around 200 BCE, the ancient Lydians in what is now Turkey are credited with minting the first standardized coins. They were made from electrum, a naturally occurring mix of gold and silver. Each coin carried a stamp, showing its weight and authenticity. This was revolutionary. You no longer had to weigh every piece of metal in a trade. But coins were not the only path. In ancient China, before metal coins took over, farmers used spade-shaped and knife-shaped money made from bronze. These were symbolic tools, likely representing the value of agricultural labor and the tools themselves. By 7th century BC, China began producing round coins with square holes in the center. The hole allowed them to be strung together, making them easy to carry in bundles, an early version of a wallet. Meanwhile, in the Roman Empire,
Money became more than just a trade tool.
it was a statement of power. Coins bore the faces of emperors, turning currency into a form of propaganda. A single coin could travel across vast territories, carrying not only value, but also the image and message of the ruler. In Africa, the kingdom of Aksum, modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, minted coins as early as the 3rd century CE. Remarkably, some carried inscriptions in Ge'ez, while others had Greek text, a sign of the kingdom's role in international trade. Across the Pacific, the Aztecs used cacao beans as currency. These beans had real value. You could drink them as chocolate, but they were so prized that they became a unit of exchange. Records show prices like 10 beans for a rabbit,
Or 100 beans for a turkey hen.
In Northern Europe, Vikings used silver bullion and jewelry pieces as currency. They practiced a weight-based system. cutting silver into smaller pieces called hack silver to match the value of a transaction. By now,
Money was becoming global.
but it still relied on materials that had intrinsic value. The real transformation was yet to come, when money would shift from being about the metal itself to the promise it represented. The leap from metal to paper was one of the most surprising shifts in financial history. It began in China during the Tang dynasty, around the 7th century CE, when merchants started using promissory notes. These were slips of paper that promised payment later, a safer way to carry wealth without the risk of being robbed of heavy coins. By the 11th century, under the Song dynasty, China issued the world's first government-backed paper money, called jiaozi. These notes were printed using woodblock techniques and circulated widely. They weren't unlimited. Officials strictly controlled the amount in use. To prevent inflation, the idea spread slowly westward through trade routes. When the Venetian traveler Marco Polo visited Yuan dynasty China in the late 13th century, he wrote in amazement about paper currency backed by the authority of the emperor. In Europe, it would take centuries before paper money gained the same trust. During the medieval period, Italian merchant banks, like those in Florence and Venice, developed bills of exchange. These allowed merchants to travel without carrying physical gold or silver. One could deposit wealth in one city
and withdraw it in another.
an early form of international banking. The Islamic Golden Age also played a role, introducing a written order to pay a specific amount to a person or business. It's where the word check comes from today. By the 17th century, Sweden's Stockholm's Banco issued the first European banknotes. But paper money brought new risks. If trust in the issuing authority failed, the money became worthless overnight. Colonial America had its own experiments. In 1690, the Massachusetts Bay Colony printed paper bills to fund military expenses,
A bold move that spread to other colonies.
in West Africa. Alongside European-introduced coins and notes, local currencies like Manila's bracelet-shaped copper rings still circulated well into the 19th century. Money was no longer just a physical asset. It had become a symbol of trust in systems, and its power lay in the belief that it could always be exchanged for something real. The 20th century brought the most radical shift in money's nature. In 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement linked major currencies to the US dollar, and the dollar itself was tied to gold. This system created global stability, but it wouldn't last. By 1971, the United States ended the gold standard, transforming money into a fiat currency. Its value was now based purely on government backing and public confidence, not on precious metal reserves. Plastic cards soon joined the picture. The first credit cards appeared in the 1950s, allowing purchases on borrowed funds. Debit cards followed, connecting directly to bank accounts and reducing the need for carrying cash. By the late 20th century, electronic banking,
Online transfers.
and ATMs made physical money optional. Value could now move across the world in seconds without a single coin changing hands. The 21st century introduced
A new challenger.
digital and cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, launched in 2009, offered a decentralized system not controlled by any single government or bank. It used blockchain technology, a public digital ledger that anyone could verify, but no single person could alter. Meanwhile, mobile payment systems like M-Pesa in Kenya revolutionized finance in regions where traditional banking was limited. People could send and receive money with just a basic mobile phone, empowering entire communities. Today, money exists in forms our ancestors could not have imagined, from contactless payments to purely virtual currencies in online games and metaverse platforms. Yet across this long history, one truth remains unchanged.
Money works only
because people collectively agree that it has value. All the information we provide comes from verified historical sources, including books, records, and archaeology. Sources: The History of Money by Jack Weatherford, British Museum Archives on Currency Artifacts, Cambridge University Research on Ancient Trade and Exchange Systems,
Ashurnal Numismatic Collection, Smithsonian Institution, Bank of England Museum Historical Records.
Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Thrones of Knowledge. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified on time. Suggest our next topic in the comments to help make our journey even better.